So today we're talking about trauma, clutter, and overwhelm. I literally remember when I was in the thick of recovering from complex PTSD, I could be standing in the middle of my kitchen and have like 5 plates in the sink and feel overwhelmed at the thought of having to wash them. It wasn't because I didn't care. It wasn't because I was lazy, even though at that time I certainly attacked myself. Like, why can't you do that? Look, there's something wrong with you. When the reality was that my nervous system was simply overwhelmed and I didn't understand it. And so instead of working with my nervous system, I attacked myself. I was like, see, you're lazy. You're a bad person. Something's wrong with you. You don't have it together. And that only created more anxiety, more overwhelm, and I was just stuck in a loop. And I wondered if I was ever going to feel normal again and be able to handle normal everyday things without feeling like I had to move a mountain to be able to do so. So if this resonates with you, then this video is for you. What you're working through is not a character flaw. It's a sign of complex PTSD. And CPTSD shows up in so many sneaky ways, covert ways, like the chaos and clutter that feels impossible to work through. So today we're going to learn a more empowering way to work through this side effect or symptom of CPTSD. That being said, let's get started.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Michele. I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner and the founder of the School of Transformation, which is where I meet live on Zoom every week and I do the inner work with survivors from all over the world of childhood trauma together. Here on my YouTube channel, we talk about what healing is about, what it looks like, the symptoms of unhealed trauma. But in the School of Transformation, we do the inner healing together. So if you're ready to take the next step, make sure you join me weekly on Zoom.
What if I told you that the overwhelm is not the problem? Usually it's the overwhelm that gets a bad rap, right? Because it's the overwhelm that keeps us stuck. But the overwhelm that keeps us from doing the things we need to do, the things we want to do, it's actually doing its job. It's very much like a circuit breaker. Let's say somebody plugs a ton of things into the electrical socket and it's too much in that socket. And so what happens? The circuit turns off. Why? Is it trying to ruin your life? Is it trying to stop you from doing things? No, it's trying to prevent a fire or something catastrophic from happening. Nobody internalizes that. Right? Oh, my circuit breaker turned off. I'm a failure. There's something wrong with me. No, we say, oh, there was too much in the socket. I need to make some changes in order to get done the things that I need to get done. Well, guess what? The same thing's happening in our body. When overwhelm kicks on and stops us, it's because there's too much going on inside. And the body's like, if I don't alchemize this and create a change, this isn't sustainable and this can cause problems. So it's actually doing its job. Another way to look at it is imagine if your nervous system is like a cup and every past experience you ever had, every moment you didn't feel safe, you didn't feel seen, you didn't feel supported, added a drop into the cup. Some of us didn't get a few drops, we got a flood, depending on our family system and how we grew up. And so over time, that cup filled up. And so when we have unresolved trauma, our nervous system is always scanning, it's always alert, it's bracing for the next thing. And since our cup is already full, when it is time to do something as quote unquote simple as sorting the mail, as vacuuming the floor, as washing the dishes, it feels like someone's asking you to carry an overflowing tray across a tightrope because it feels too much. And so we freeze, and then the shame comes rolling in. That's where we internalize what's happening instead of understanding that our system is simply overloaded. The inner critic comes in, it's like, oh no, you're so lazy. Other people can do it. Other people keep their house so nice. It's just you. You're such a failure. And then that adds to more shame, more overwhelm, more freeze, more shutdown. Does that sound familiar? Because I know that's what was happening inside of my body. Now, I want to normalize the inner critic for a second because when that voice kicks on, we can think that that's truth, what it's telling us, that we're a failure, that others are better, that this is evidence that we're flawed, right? We can buy into that story thinking it's truth, but I want you to know that that voice inside, as harsh as it might sound, as attacking as it might sound, it is actually trying to protect you. That piece of you, it's like a protective piece that learned to talk to you that way because somebody in your life may have talked to you that way. And because they talked to you that way, you pushed yourself to try to be better to avoid the pain of whatever that person was inflicting. And so this protective piece is like, if I talk to Michele that way, it'll push her harder. It doesn't think it's hurting you. It thinks it's motivating you. And maybe that strategy worked when you were a child. It worked when I was a child. But as an adult, it doesn't work anymore. It only puts us more deeper into a state of freeze. Going back to the time when I was seeing those 5 dishes in the sink, I literally remember looking at the dishes, being frozen and being like, I'm a grown woman. This is simple. Why can't I do this? And then I would do the wrong thing to try to work through the freeze. I would try to get mad at myself. I would try to shove myself to do things, not paying attention to the freeze, not understanding what was happening in my body. I was like, I'm just going to use sheer willpower to whip my body into shape to do whatever I want it to do. And then maybe I did do the dishes, but guess what? After that, I'd be in bed for like a week, as if like, what did I just do that caused the freeze to be even worse? Well, what I did wrong was I didn't take into account what was happening inside. That would be like that electric socket. It turned off because there were too many things, and I'm just going to put even more things in it. I'm going to force it. That's not a safe thing to do in your house. Well, guess what? It's not a safe thing to do with your body. Your body will give you a kickback that will put you in bed for weeks. So rather than forcing our body, rather than trying to have more motivation, more willpower, what I learned and what I'm sharing with you is what was really needed was more capacity. Remember, if that cup was full and I want to add more into it, I need to first empty some of what's there to make space. That's what we have to do with our body. And so as I was healing, what I really learned was the clutter, the chaos, the disorganization, the lack of what I thought was motivation. That wasn't the problem. It was actually a symptom. And there's actually a science behind this too. They say that our outer world is often a reflection of our inner state. And so people that are living in a disorganized space often have overwhelmed nervous systems. Not because they're bad people, not because they're broken or flawed, but because their brain is stuck in survival. The parts that are responsible for planning, for organizing and following through, it's almost like our survival brain turns that part of our brain off. What's important to remember though is that our nervous system isn't failing. It's protecting. The problem is that at one time that was needed, but things are different now, but your brain hasn't caught up yet. When we don't realize that the chaos, the disorganization is a symptom, we wind up doing what I did, right? We plow through what's happening. We clean our house in one weekend. We get everything done immediately. We go above and beyond to do something about the disorganization. And for a minute, it feels good. And then remember what I said, what happened to me? I'd be in bed. Why? Well, because the nervous system is like, whoa, that's too much, too fast. And so it crashes the system. I call it yo-yo healing, kind of like yo-yo dieting, where somebody loses weight really fast only to regain it back just as fast with even more weight. The same thing is happening. We plow through our bodies, freeze, and then we face collapse. And then we get stuck doing that. And then we give up because going back and forth between plowing through and collapsing is exhausting. When we're shoving ourselves through freeze without taking into account why the freeze is there, it's almost like we're fighting against ourselves, right? And so the real shifts start to happen when instead of fighting against the freeze, fighting against our nervous system, we start learning to work together, mind and body together. And this is challenging because it's almost like we have to pause from what we really want to do, which is clean, organize, get things together, plan, start living our life. We want to do all those things. But in order to engage in those external things that, of course, we want to do, right? we have to first tend to the freeze. You see, the truth is that when I was in that state, that yo-yo healing, right, of plowing through my freeze only to get slammed back down, the reality is I didn't even notice when I was overwhelmed. I didn't even notice it until I was in a trauma response. So starting to work with our body is starting to strengthen our capacity to notice what's going on inside, to notice sensations, including uncomfortable sensations, and then to build the capacity to be with those sensations. Because the truth is that what tends to happen if you have CPTSD is that when the overwhelm comes up in your body, and the overwhelm shows up in a sensation, you feel the activation in your body. The problem is the body remembers when the original trauma happened, it was the same sensation, and it gets confused. So we have some overwhelm in the present. The body's like, I remember that was what happened when you were born and you have birth trauma, or when you were a toddler and you faced this kind of abuse or neglect. That's what you felt. Therefore, it must be happening again. And if it's happening again, I need to put you in freeze. That's what's happening. The body's getting confused, thinking that the sensation means the original trauma is happening right now. And so working with your body is about learning to be with the sensations and having that one foot in the past, because that sensation is from the past, but learning to be able to stay in the present and keep one foot in the present as well. And so what we're accomplishing by doing that is we're teaching our body that when that overwhelm comes up in the present, we can feel the overwhelm and still be safe in the present. As a result of that, the body starts opening up some space. We start feeling expansion. When we start experiencing that inner space, we start noticing it on the outside as well. And the things we're striving to accomplish and get done, we start having the capacity to be able to do that. So remember the cup analogy. If we want to pour something new into our cup, like peace, clarity, or motivation, we have to make space for it. And so we do that by working with the old activation, letting some of that past stuck energy finally be able to move, discharge, and leave the system. And that's exactly what somatic experiencing does. It's not about fixing your nervous system. No, it's about creating more room for your nervous system to breathe so that life doesn't always feel like it's drowning you. So if you're interested in ending the yo-yo healing and you want to work with your nervous system to build capacity, maybe you're watching videos, but you're like, okay, I'm watching all these videos, I get it here, but I can't seem to embody it. I want to invite you to the School of Transformation, because I meet live on Zoom with survivors from trauma from all over the world, and we do this nervous system healing together. I consider it like a nervous system gym membership. We practice working with our nervous system together week by week. We don't chase results, we build capacity. And when we do that, the things that you're longing to start completing, to start doing, to start taking part in, that's just a natural byproduct of the inner work that you begin doing. So if this resonates with you and you've been stuck in clutter and chaos, please remember it's not a moral failure. It's your nervous system asking for help. You're not too much, you're not broken, you're simply healing. And healing takes time, it takes safety, and it takes support.